Good evening and welcome to the Blue Ties and Butterflies event supporting the Child Protection Center. My name is Jennifer Stubbe.
And I'm Jen Douglas.
We are honored to be part of such an amazing organization and to welcome you as our guest tonight. CPC will begin its 43rd year providing services in our community to the prevention, intervention, and the treatment of child abuse. We have all experienced many changes in the last 2 years, but one thing has remained constant. The Child Protection Center's board of directors and staff have been steadfast in the fight to protect and heal children from abuse.
We are grateful that you have decided to join us this year from your home. It truly does take all of us to work together to make a difference for children in our community. We are excited to share the progress, impact, and growth that you have helped CPC make in the last year. This evening, our hope is that we will help you understand the transformational work that CPC performs daily and that you're inspired to help in some way.
This event would not be possible without the generous support of our dedicated sponsors. We would like to take a moment to thank them. Diamond Butterfly, Grassi and Dennis McGillicuddy.
Platinum Butterfly, Classic Creations in Diamonds and Gold, Kevin and Mary Fitzpatrick.
Gold sponsors, Arthur S. Karp Family Foundation, Donna and David Kaufman, James and Lorna Mack, and Public Supermarkets Charities.
Silver sponsors, BDE Florida Taco Bell, Gail and Skip Sack, Gerald and Sandra Biller, Gulf Coast Community Foundation, John F. Swift Construction, Swift Family Foundation, Larry and Jen Fox, Synovus, Tony and Barbara Frankie, and Ed and Kristen Greasy.
Please take a moment to review all the bronze and patron sponsors.
We would also like to thank the Child Protection Center's Board of Directors. Tina Grantham, Board Chair, Jen Stubbe, Vice Chair, Alina Sementier, Charlie Brooks, Tony Dempsey, Jen Douglas, Jen Fox, Tammy Karp, Donna Kaufman, Grazie McGillicuddy, Tom McLaughlin, Freya Robbins, and Dan Staro-Stecky.
We would also like to recognize CPC's advisory members and the Blue Ties and Butterflies committee members who so graciously shared their time, generosity, and compassionate hearts for this event.
Before we introduce Doug Staley, CPC's Executive Director, we want to remind you that we are here tonight to change lives for children who have faced unspeakable trauma. Your donation of any size makes a tremendous difference.
We are extremely excited to have a matching opportunity tonight. Thanks to a lead gift provided by Keith Monda and Veronica Brady, combined with the generosity of Karen and Mike Valentino, the Williams Family Foundation, and anonymous donors, the first 100,000 raised tonight will be matched.
You can make a donation by texting Butterflies to 50155, visiting cpcsarasota.org, or mailing a check to the Child Protection Center.
Thank you again for joining us tonight in a virtual celebration of Blue Ties and Butterflies. Your support of the work of the Child Protection Center and the transformational healing you make possible. It is our pleasure to introduce you to Doug Staley, Executive Director of the Child Protection Center.
Good evening, and thank you for watching our virtual component of this year's Blue Ties and Butterflies. I am Doug Staley, Executive Director of the Child Protection Center, and this year marks our 9th Blue Ties and Butterflies event. One of the many lessons we learned through a pandemic was the need to be able to connect with our communities in a virtual manner. We discovered that so many more people can watch our programming from the comfort of their homes and able to invite people to attend and continue the discussion and support for CPC. This is what made last year's Blue Ties and Butterflies, which was 100% virtual, such a success. This year's Blue Ties and Butterflies is a hybrid event, with CPC returning to an in-person event at Michael's on East for the first time since 2019, but with the virtual component as well. July 1st marked our 42nd year of providing services. And as you can imagine, over a period of time like that, there have been ups and downs. We've endured difficult state budgets, rising occupancy costs, hurricanes, difficult economies, rising costs of benefits, long delays in reimbursement, and now a worldwide pandemic lasting over 2 years. And in the middle of that pandemic, we're expanding. The staff and the board of directors of the Child Protection Center knows that when communities work together, when we all work together on behalf of child abuse victims, it can make all the difference in terms of response and intervention and in the very lives of child victims themselves. You are watching today because you've answered the call of why should I get involved with CPC? Or you're thinking about it. Why does it matter? Well, the why is simple. When we do our part, it changes lives. When you have the courage to call the abuse hotline and report concerns, it changes lives. When you have the courage to give and support our programs, it changes lives. You become part of our together that makes a difference in the lives of children every single day. These are not just some words on a wall, but rather they are our actions that are so real every day. It reinforces our belief that it is truly only when we work together that we'll be able to affect change. In 2013, our very first Blue Ties and Butterflies, there was a statistic in the program that read, a child is abused in Florida every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes. In 2022, that same statistic is a child is abused in Florida every 18.6 minutes. What a huge difference. Lives are changed because of you. You provide hope that child abuse will not define these children, hope that we will have the power to stop child abuse, and hope that we can break the cycle of abuse. Your support is providing a safe and nurturing environment for children to visit with their parent. Your support is helping to protect children. Your support is helping child victims on their journey from victim to survivor to one that thrives. Your support is helping break the cycle of abuse, and your support is helping to give children their childhood back. Without all of you, we don't have our building in Sarasota. We don't have our staff. We don't have the scope of services that we have today, and we certainly would not have the beginnings of an endowment or a new building in Northport. CPC's therapy program saw an increase of 11% in individual, family, and group counseling sessions over the previous year. And our child protection team saw an increase of 16% in their intervention services, with the number of forensic interviews actually increasing 29.45% over the previous year. CPC is providing more intervention and treatment services during the pandemic than we did prior to it. Now, much of these increases in services are in the South Sarasota County service area. And at the same time, CPC has experienced a 45% increase in occupancy costs over the last 3 years in Northport and in Venice, and we have diligently been looking for property to control these long-term costs. Well, I'm happy to say the looking is over, and I'm excited to share with you a 2-minute video of our new building, property, and our vision in Northport. Phase 1 is important for now, the immediate needs, and it creates a footprint that we have for expansion. Ideally, our supervised visitation program will be up and operational here by March of this year, and then our other programs by July, because there's a little more work that needs to be done on the inside of the building. Phase 2 is what is it going to look like in 5 years? We envision a 10 to 12,000 square foot facility that then would house all of our programs, creating a campus so that we can be here long term. And to know we're going to be here for the next 50 years. Now you can tell why we are so excited for our expansion in Northport. You can just sense the healing that's going to take place at this location, and to know we're going to be there for the next 50 plus years. Now you've heard from our co-chairs that tonight we have $100,000 in matching dollars. Tonight you can be part of the Blue Ties and Butterflies virtual supporters partnering with CPC to make a difference in the lives of children. Please consider making a gift today and help CPC turn $100,000 into $200,000 for our clients. Let's get this done for the kids. Now it's my pleasure to introduce you to CPC's Vice President of Philanthropy, Sheila Miller. Sheila works tirelessly not only to raise the needed funds for our daily operation, but also works to elevate CPC's marketing to keep CPC top of mind.
As a means of showing our transformational donors our gratitude and to encourage everyone to have conversations about the mission of the Child Protection Center, we've created the Challenge of Hope. Challenge coins were developed many years ago to recognize others for a significant achievement, those who went beyond the call of duty, and often signified a membership to an elite group. Challenge coins are often given in a handshake and are a personal exchange between the person who gives it and the person who receives it instead of a public event. The Child Protection Center Challenge of Hope is made up of 8 challenge coins and walks us through the process of how CPC's programs transform a child abuse victim to a survivor to one who thrives. We've structured the Challenge of Hope to recognize those donors who've given cumulative gifts totaling $30,000 with increments to $1 million. The first coin is the Advocate coin. It's a blue marble. Children who are victims of abuse need adults to speak for them as they have no voice. They need an advocate. When a child completes a forensic interview, medical exam, or their first therapy session, they receive a blue marble to drop into CPC's Pillar of Hope. This signifies they are not alone when they see all of the other marbles that are in the pillar. This coin represents that each child needs an advocate.
The first coin to represent our mission is the Educator coin, the prevention piece of our mission. Children need to know how to respond to abuse, and adults need to know how to prevent abuse. We all need to be informed on how to report abuse, but more than anything, CPC wants to prevent child abuse from happening, and it's crucial that CPC maintain that focus.
The next coin represents the intervention piece of our mission, the Protector. This picture, drawn by a client, depicts the care that is given to protecting the voice of a child. The Child Protection Team protects children by compassionately documenting their experiences and provides recommendations to law enforcement and DCF in their individual case. The Children Family Supervised Visitation Program provides a safe environment for children to interact with an out-of-home parent.
The next coin represents the treatment portion of our mission, the Counselor coin. CPC's therapy program provides treatment for the trauma child abuse victims experienced. Child abuse is heartbreaking and forever leaves an impact on each child and family. Some memories can be patched, while others leave a gaping hole. Therapy equips children with the tools to mend and protect them for a lifetime.
Next is the Guardian coin. The Pillar of Hope includes colored marbles to represent those adults who have given of their time, talents, and treasures. Many people volunteer for our programs and events, while others have made a financial commitment to stand up for children and change their story. These volunteers are guardians for our mission.
Next is the Visionary coin. CPC envisions a community where children are safe from abuse and free to thrive. Children and families should have access to our services in their community, and CPC centers stand as a beacon of refuge and hope for children to live as children should, free from abuse.
The next coin is a very special coin. It is a special edition that will be announced later this evening. Don't miss this announcement at the end of the video. Lastly is the coin that is the torchbearer for Shannon Nicole. We can never forget. Shannon Nicole is only one child of many who were not protected and whose voice was not heard. We are committed to stop child abuse for Shannon and many, many others. The blue butterfly is a representation of the journey and transformation of a child abuse victim to one who thrives.
We hope that those of you that have a coin from CPC's Challenge of Hope have felt our gratitude and will continue your conversations about child abuse. Change happens one conversation at a time. Now, before we reveal the special edition coin, we want to take the time to highlight a family's story of courage and strength that will be sure to impact you. A story that truly has changed their challenge to hope for others.
Our mission moment usually features a survivor of child abuse or one who is thriving after child abuse. Tonight, we want to highlight the fact that the majority of victims of child abuse never tell anyone about their abuse or seek treatment for their abuse, and they keep that secret hidden for many years. It's a difficult journey for adults who do not receive help for the trauma that they experienced. Listen to Doug's words as he sheds light on why it is important for adults to heal the child inside them.
Over the years, I've been fortunate to speak to different groups about CPC, and I've had numerous people approach me and other staff to say, I never told anyone this, but I was a victim of childhood sexual abuse. I remember one such occasion when I was presenting to the Fraternal Order of the Eagles. There was a 90-year-old lady sitting in her wheelchair who began to sob during my presentation. She was so overcome with emotion, as I described our therapy program, I had to stop my presentation and ask if she was all right. And she said she was sexually abused as a child and she never told anyone. She said, I thought there was something wrong with me and that it was my fault. With tears in her eyes, she said, I am so glad you are here for the kids. During our discussion, she conveyed the difficulties that she encountered over the years. I'm not even sure she knew the difficulties were a result of the abuse she experienced, but you could almost see a huge weight being physically lifted off of her simply by sharing that she was a victim of abuse. It takes so much energy to keep that information inside. Her abuse happened when she was 10 years old, and she never told anyone. And she's been dealing with the effects of her abuse for 80 years. 80. The long-term effects of childhood sexual abuse are well documented and have been correlated with higher levels of depression, guilt, shame, self-blame, eating disorders, somatic concerns, anxiety, dissociative patterns, repression, denial, sexual problems, and relationship problems. For these children and even adults, there will be triggers, and their healing journeys will be different, as is how they internalize their experience. I can't help but to think of the 90-year-old lady who carried this guilt and self-blame for 80 years and the physical toll it has taken on her life. We know that when we successfully address their trauma as children, they are better equipped with the skills to navigate life. Unresolved trauma can lead to years of frustration and issues that they may be unaware stems from their childhood sexual abuse. In essence, they become stuck because of their childhood abuse. Regardless of when the abuse occurred, it's not healthy to get stuck because of child abuse.
People often ask why children don't tell what is happening and why they keep it a secret. Each situation is different, but perpetrators manipulate everyone involved, the adults, children, and community. At our very first Blue Ties and Butterflies, Karen Valentino shared her family's story of physical and sexual abuse. Tonight, we want to recap her story and highlight how other family members were affected by that abuse.
Hi, I'm Lori,
And I'm Karen.
and we're sisters. We have an older sister by the name of Johanna. Johanna was about 8 years older than I am. I am the youngest, and Karen was the middle.
We grew up in a small home in New York on Long Island, and in the home, our parents, mom and dad, and our maternal grandmother, and an uncle. He didn't have a place to live, so they offered him a bed in our home. We had a tiny living room, and now you have 7 people in the living room watching a TV, trying to watch a TV. So us kids would be on the floor, the adults were on the couches, and he would walk by us and step on the tips of our fingers and look at us and look at our parents and look at us again. And of course, our parents never said a word because they couldn't see anything. But it was like instilling, you see, I can hurt you right in front of them. and they're not doing anything. Hannah had an idea that we were being abused and said to him, "Leave them alone. Do whatever you want to me. Leave them alone." And he promised, but he lied. So she was aware that it was happening to us and made what I think is like the ultimate sacrifice for us. And that's a hero in my mind.
At that point, Hannah was starting to show signs of multiple personality disorder.
She was able to contain for a while because, like, you see some erratic behavior. But after she had Amanda, things were a little off. But by the time she had Kylie, she was like, there were many personalities.
My mom created alters or personalities, as some people may understand them better, for her to survive that abuse. The alters would come out so that she didn't have to be the only one experiencing those things. Her abuse impacted me on multiple levels. So first, as a child, I would say that some of her alters that she had to cope with the sexual abuse weren't very nice and either made her feel as though she wanted to end her life or they would try to end her life for her. I feel like I knew it from a very young age what ERs, when was the best time to go to an ER for panic attacks or suicidal ideations, which that's not something that a kid should know.
It's something that she hid very well throughout most of her life. I feel like a lot of people didn't necessarily know it, or if they did, they didn't say anything about it. And she was obviously afraid to speak her mind of what was going on and afraid of the repercussions of what to say to people for all the abuse that was going on inside the house, ashamed of what was going on inside the house and thinking it was all her fault.
My mom was a very giving person. She was very loving. She was great. She unfortunately passed when she was 47. She got pneumonia and passed away. It was about 2 weeks. So I was 19 and my sister was 14.
Later in life, I got to go through old journals and stuff that she had written. Just hearing her talk about how she thought she was such a terrible mother, and she wasn't. And I want her to know that. I want her to know that she did the best job, and hopefully the life that I'm living today is a reflection of that.
She had spoken about wanting to be a social worker and help children who have been through sexual abuse and assault. I think what I would say to her is, Mom, I did that. I went and got a clinical master's degree in social work. I'm working with children who are in foster care placements who are experiencing homelessness. Many of those children running away from home or being kicked out due to sexual abuse and assault. I feel like I'm living her legacy. I think that she didn't have to do those things to be a hero. But I also think that she was a hero.
My involvement with CPC is in honor of Hannah and for everything she stood for. And I'm grateful for CPC for that, and obviously for everything that the organization does to help kids and educate and all that work.
I would like anybody who's being physically abused, but most importantly, children, to know that there are people out there, specifically this agency, that they will believe you. And all you have to do is speak up. And sometimes it's just one little word that opens up the doors for your survival.
Karen and her husband, Mike, have become an integral piece of the Child Protection Center. The couple's journey with CPC began as financial support, but Karen's dedication drove her to become more directly involved, eventually serving as chair of the board. Their passion in child advocacy is undeniable. Mike credits Karen as a source of his inspiration, saying her fiery passion and determination turns her from a mild-mannered person to a dynamic advocate for the cause. She becomes a superwoman, and it's a remarkable thing to see.
Mike and Karen realize that the subject is still taboo in our society, and most people are uncomfortable talking about it. As Mike says, until we can get substantial conversation about this scourge, we won't be able to raise enough support to educate and eradicate it. Whether you realize it or not, someone in your close-in network has been affected by this.
The Valentino story shows that there are many aspects of abuse that rarely get talked about, both immediately and generationally with families. A typical case of child abuse has significant repercussions beyond the obvious, as entire families and even friends are also drawn into the trauma.
Tonight, you've heard the need for adults to receive treatment for their trauma experienced as a child. We are very pleased to announce that we will be expanding our therapy program to include program for adults who were victims of child abuse, a program to heal their inner child and to experience the transformation from a victim to a survivor, to one that thrives. Tonight, we're going to honor Karen and Mike Stream. The new program will be named Hannah's Hope. And I am so excited to reveal the missing coin in the challenge of hope is Hannah's Hope. Hannah's Hope will add to the continuum of the Child Protection Center's mission, the prevention, intervention, and treatment of child abuse. We envision a community where children and adults are safe from abuse and free to thrive.
Thank you again to the Valentino family for bravely sharing your story to educate and empower our community and for giving Hannah a voice that will be heard for generations. We do want to remind you that we are here tonight to change lives for children who have faced unspeakable trauma. Your donation of any size makes a tremendous difference.
Remember, the first $100,000 will be generously matched by Keith Monda and Veronica Brady, Mike and Karen Valentino, the Williams Family Foundation, and anonymous donors. This is a wonderful opportunity to double your gift.
You can make a donation by texting butterflies to 50155, visiting cpcsarasota.org, or mailing a check to the Child Protection Center.
Thank you again for joining us tonight in a virtual celebration of blue ties and butterflies. Your support of the work of the Child Protection Center and the transformational healing you made possible. Together, we are making a difference.